have to know my mom to kind of understand her. So I go out with some friends that I'd grown up with, and on my first night out, I see Paul. I said, "Girl, that you?" And I'm like, I know he can't recognize me since I was 5 years old, but he is so fine. I said, "Yeah, this is me." "Is that you?" I said, "What are you doing for yourself these days?" He said, "I'm an architect. I build stuff, make them look so fantastic." I'm like, "Yeah, you married?" He said, "No, girl, I'm not married." I said, "Well, I'm on a time clock, you know?" And so we go out, and I'm really liking Paul. Paul is fine. He's an architect. He had gone from Montego Bay to the States for his education, so we had a lot in common. But then I said to my mother, I've got to take him to meet my father to get his approval. And remember, I'm on a time schedule. So my father has decided to live way up in the hills of Montego Bay. So me and Paul were walking to see my dad, and my father comes down and he said, "Girl, how are you?" And I said, "Happy, I'm good." And we hug and we embrace, and he's looking really strange. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Who is this guy?" I said, "Daddy, that's Paul. Remember Paul? When I was a little girl, we played together." He said, "What you doing with Paul?" I said, "Well, I brought him by to meet you because I've got to get married. I'm 29 years. He said, "You can't marry him." I said, "I can't marry him?" He said, "No, you can't marry him." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Because that boy is your brother." Oh, she don't know it. I said, "Oh my God, no, what do you never hear, Mommy? Let's go there." So I told Paul nothing. I'm like, "You know what, my dad's not feeling that well, and so we need to just go back." I go and I tell my mother. She said, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Mommy, I can't remember." And he looks at Paul and he doesn't even give him 1 second. And he tells me, "That boy is my brother and you don't know it." She said, "Yeah? Really?" I didn't let Paul know it. So I'm on a time schedule. So I go out again, and then there is Samuel. Oh my God, Samuel looks better than Paul. And he's flirting, I'm flirting, and I'm like, "You married?" He said, "No." I'm like, "Well, we need to talk, because I'm on a time schedule." I take Samuel to see my father, and before I can get past the heels, he looks at him and he said, "Girl, what is going on?" I said, "Papi, what is going on with you?" He said, "You keep launching these boys up here. That boy is your brother." And your mother, she don't know it. I'm like, "Oh my God." So I come home, and this time I am like delirious. My mother said, "He said what?" I said, "He said that Samuel is my brother and you don't know it." She said, "Really? He's something, huh?" I said, "No, he is something." So I decided to give this dating a little break. But in between that little break, I meet Jonathan. Jonathan is just fabulous. I am wasting no time. I am going to my papi. I'm going to ask him. This one, my brother. I get there and I tell him, I say, "You know, my father, he's got some children around this place. Hopefully you're not one." My father does not even get to the edge of where he's living, and he starts that look again. And I said, "Papi, you got to be kidding me." Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. He said, "That boy is your brother." Oh. I said, "And I know my mother, she don't know it." This time I am so upset. I get home and my mother said, "What's going on?" I said, "Mommy, he said Paul is my brother, Samuel is my brother, now Jonathan." She said, "Really? Well, let me tell you something, girl, because see, I like that Jonathan. I like him a lot. And that man, he's not your father.